was cast out, Pharaoh's daughter took him up and nourished him for her own son. And Masha was learned in all the wisdom of the Egyptians, and was mighty in words and in deeds. And when he was full 40 years old, it came unto his heart to visit his brothers, the children of Yasreel. And seeing one of them suffer wrong, he defended him, and avenged him that was oppressed, and smote the Egyptian. But he supposed his brothers would have understood how that the Almighty by his hand would deliver them, but they understood not. Isn't that mirroring our King Yahushua? The scribes and Pharisees rejected him, and yet he was their deliverer. Listen, my brothers and sisters. Verse 26. And the next day he showed himself unto them as they strove, and would have set them at one again, saying, Sirs, you are brothers. Why do you wrong one to another? Thank you, my Father, my King. Verse 27. But he that did his neighbor wrong thrusted him away, saying, Who made you a ruler and a judge over us? Will you kill me as you did the Egyptian yesterday? Then fled Masha at this saying, and was a stranger in the land of Madian, where he begat 2 sons. And when 40 years were expired, there appeared to him in the wilderness of Mount Sinai, in messenger, an angel of Yahuwah, or the Master, listen, in a flame of fire in a bush. You see, now he's taken them, the Spirit guiding his mind is taking him to that moment to where he met Yahushua and our Heavenly Father. Listen. Verse 31. When Masha saw it, he wondered at the sight. And as he drew near to behold it, the voice of Yahuwah came unto him, saying, I am the Almighty of your fathers, the Almighty of Abraham, and the Almighty of Isaac, and the Almighty of Jacob. Then Masha trembled and durst not behold. Then said Yahuwah, or the Master Yahuwah, to him, Put off your shoes from your feet, for the place where you stand is holy ground, or set apart ground. I have seen the affliction of my people, which is in Egypt, and I have heard their groaning, and am come down to deliver them. And now come, I will send you into Egypt. See, the beautiful revelation is that here is our Heavenly Father through his Son speaking to Masha during this time as he's recapping to them. And what's happening is now he's coming in the mind of the king. He has become one with Masha. He is his human vessel now. Do you understand? Verse 35. This Masha whom they refused, saying, Who made you a ruler and a judge? The same did the Almighty send to be a ruler and a deliverer by the hand of the angel, or the messenger, which appeared to him in the bush. Do you see this? And for you all out there, for those of you who have access even to, when you go back behind the English language, it's not going to say Malak. It's not going to say a Malak of Yahuwah. It's going to say Malak Yahuwah. And those of you are growing and you're understanding about who it was that Masha saw. And that's beautiful. Listen, my brothers and sisters. Verse 36. He brought them out after that he had showed wonders and signs in the land of Egypt, and in the Red Sea, or the Sea of Reeds, and in the wilderness 40 years. This is that Masha which said unto the children of Yasreel, A prophet shall Yahuwah your Almighty raise up unto you of your brothers, like unto me. Him shall you hear. Do you see how the Spirit of our Father and our King, as Stephan is inspired preaching to these people who are accusing him, it's bringing their remembrance to what they were studying and reading every day in the synagogue. They were studying, even on a Sabbath day, about the Torah. Listen, my brothers and sisters. Verse 38. This is he that was in the assembly. It says the church, in the assembly in the wilderness, with the angel, the messenger, which spoke to him in the Mount Sinai, and with our fathers who received the lively oracles to give unto us, to whom our fathers would not obey, but thrust him from them, and in their hearts turned back again into Egypt, or Mitzrayim. They did that. When you go back, you can read about their murmurings. You can read about their unfaithfulness. And don't a lot of us struggle today with these things? Listen, my brothers and sisters. Verse 40. Saying unto Aharon, make us, it says gods, speaking of alliance, make us mighty ones to go before us. For as for this Moshe which brought us out of the land of Egypt, we wot, or we know not what is become of him. And they made a calf in those days and offered sacrifices unto the idol, and rejoiced in the works of their own hands. That's powerful. Thank you, my Father, my King. Do you realize, all of you out there, if you're not operating in the ministry, the true ministry of Yahushua, do you realize that you have built a golden calf in the spirit? Do you all understand that? Look at the picture of our ancestors here. They wasn't patient. They wasn't really waiting for Moshe to return. What happened? They built their own mighty one. With their own, they rejoiced in the work of their own hands. And if you all out there, if your ministries are not mirroring the ministry of Yahushua, it is an idol, do you understand? And you're scattering. Do you understand, my brothers and sisters? Verse 42. Verse 42. Then the Almighty turned and gave them up to worship the host of heaven, as it is written in the book of the prophets. O you house of Yasrael, have you offered to me slain beasts and sacrifices by the space of 40 years in the wilderness? Yes, you took up the tabernacle of Malak, and the star of your almighty Rapha, figures which you made to worship them, and I will carry you away beyond Babylon. Verse 44, our fathers had the tabernacle of witness in the wilderness, as he had appointed, speaking unto Moshe, that he should make it according to the fashion that he had seen, which also our fathers that came after brought in with Yahushua, speaking of Hoshua, the son of Nun. Listen. Which also our fathers that came after brought in with Yahushua unto the possession of the Gentiles, whom the Almighty gave out before the face of our fathers unto the days of Dauyad, who found favor before the Almighty and desired to find a tabernacle for the Almighty of Yaakov. But Shalimah built him an house. Do you see again? Look at how the story is going. It's moving throughout the history of Yasrael. Listen, my brothers and sisters, please. Verse 48. Howbeit the Most High dwells not in temples made with hands, as says the prophet. Heaven is my throne, and earth is my footstool. What house will you build for me, says the Master Yahuwah? Listen, or what is the place of my rest? Have not my hand made all things? This is one of the beautiful things. Our Heavenly Father doesn't need anything. He's self-sufficient. It is an honor to do service for him. Do you understand, my brothers and sisters? Don't think for 1 second and get lifted up in your flesh thinking that our Heavenly Father, that he's dependent upon you. He is not. Do you understand? It is an honor to preach his message. It is an honor to suffer for him. It is an honor to follow his son. It is an honor to be led by his spirit. So don't ever get beside yourself, my family. Don't ever do that. Listen, my brothers and sisters. Listen what the spirit of our Father and our King through Stephan calls these people. Verse 51. You stiff-necked and uncircumcised in heart and ears. You do always resist the set-apart spirit, as your fathers did, so do you. They rejected the will of our Father, his mind. The will of our Father, as far as this time, what we're looking in, the present time in the proper context. His will was for what? For them to listen to his Son. And they were rejecting his Son, which is the message. It's the same thing today, isn't it? That commandment from our Heavenly Father has not changed, my brothers and sisters. We are to hear Yahushua, the prophet of our Heavenly Father. We are to hear him. That is the Father's commandment under this new covenant that's being in operation. That's the commandment from the Father. Hear my Son. And then we are to do what? According to the book of Matthew chapter 5, as far as Matthew chapter 5, 6, and 7, the commandments that are being issued through the Son, we are to obey that. The Father has already given the commandment. We are to hear his Son. And so what are we to do? We are to hear the commandments and operate as the Son gives us commandments to do so. Do you all understand out there? Playing games. Let's stop playing games. Listen, my brothers and sisters. Verse 52. Which of the prophets have not your fathers persecuted? And they have slain them which showed before the coming of the just one, of whom you have been now the betrayers and murderers. He's letting them know that the prophets bore witness to the king to come. Verse 53. Who have received the law by the disposition of Angoli, as far as the messengers, and have not kept it. Verse 54. When they heard these things, thank you, my Father, my King. Look at the reaction here. The good news has been preached as the Spirit gave Stephan utterance from the Torah all the way up to now. The revelation within what they were listening, as far as they were reading and understanding regarding the Masha and the whole history of the people, it's already been expressed through the set-apart Spirit to the audience. Listen how they react. How they reacted. Verse 54. When they heard these things, they were cut to the heart, and they gnashed on him with their teeth. Do you see that? These were people who were studying the law. Do you understand? They were familiar with it. As far as looking at the text itself, the law, the prophets, the Psalms, the writings, the history. They were familiar with it. But what they lacked was to come to the revelation of the Messiah. Verse 55. But he, being full of the set-apart Spirit, looked up steadfastly into heaven and saw the glory or the esteem or the majesty of the Almighty, and Yahushua standing on the right hand of the Almighty. How was this man able to see that? He was filled with the mind of our Father. Look at how he was able to stand. Oh, can you see it? This man, he was going through accusations, and he was bold enough to stand up before all of them, as the Spirit commanded him to do so. And the true message was preached. And before his death, he was able to actually see the revelation of what he was preaching. How many of you, as our Father and our King lead, how many of you have had the experience to to see the sun? How many of you, not boasting in the flesh, but how many of you have had experiences when you heard our Heavenly Father's voice? How many of you had the opportunity for our King to invite you up in the heavenly places and let you sit at his right hand? How many of you have experienced Yahushua on a level where he gave you the manna and for you to eat, and he shared the manna with you? How many of you have had the opportunity to witness Hashatan come and try to take your life, and our Heavenly Father and his Son through their Spirit saved you? How many of you were able to go into the throne room as our Father? Can no man come unto the Father in the King unless he allows them to come? How many came into the throne room of our Heavenly Father and our King and saw the Malaks on the right side and on the left side, and to be able to come and bow down before him? And he takes off his mantle and put it on you. And the mantle is so heavy that you can't walk with it by yourself. And he comes down and lifts you up and picks you and walks with you. How many of you ever experienced visions in the high places when you look into a reflection and do not see yourself, but you see our King Yahushua standing there looking at you? How many of you ever been into a certain experience where you was able to see visions when you were bowing down on your knees humbly? And you look and you saw the pillar of the cloud standing there, and our Messiah looking there through the pillar of the cloud, looking at you. These are not things for us to boast in the flesh, because his words say, let him boast in me that he knows me. Do you understand, my brothers and sisters? Stephan saw the Father. He saw the Son. But the people he was speaking to could not see. He was not an arrogant man. Do you understand? How many of you came to our Father and our King not for money, not for power, not for position, but how many of you bowed down before him and his Son and wanted to know them for who they are? Praise to our Father and our King. Nobody can know them unless they allow it. But when we know them, it should cause a humility that people may know. Not by people being arrogant, but through the expression they know that you know them. By the sufferings they know that you know him and his Son. By your obedience, they know. The people know that Yahushua and his Father, Yahuwah, is real. Thank you, my Father, my King. Verse 57. Then they cried out with a loud voice and stopped their ears and ran upon him with one accord, and cast him out of the city, and stoned him. And the witnesses laid down their clothes at a young man's feet, whose name was Saul. And they stoned Stephan, calling upon the Almighty and saying, Master, Yahushua, receive my spirit. And he kneeled down and cried with a loud voice, Master, lay not this sin to their charge. And when he had said this, he fell asleep. Didn't Yahushua do the same? Wasn't it similar with Yahushua? As he was hanging on that tree, as they was casting lots for his garments, as they was laughing at him, as they were mocking him, and he looked up to his Father and he prayed for him and said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. This man here, he came with the agenda of the kingdom. And that's what we're supposed to do. Do you understand, my brothers and sisters? I thank you, my Father, my King, for who you are. And for what you're going to do in the coming years. And for all of you out there who are going through things. Fret not. And this goes for myself. Fret not. Continue to endure. Do you understand? His grace is sufficient. This is what he told our ancestor Shaul, who was known as Pa'u. When he was going through all that adversity. And he prayed to the Most High and our King. And he said, my grace is sufficient for you. Do you understand? My grace is sufficient for you. His strength is made perfect through our weakness. When you're going through it, when you're in a situation where you feel helpless, that's the perfect time for our Father and our King to show their power through you. How can a man be in arrogance and be boastful? The strength of our Heavenly Father will not activate in your life. But when you are going through the persecutions, and when you're going through the weakness, when you come to realize that you are weak, this is when he will use the vessel to show his power. You got to understand, our Father and our King, they're going to get the glory. They're going to get the honor. The vessel, the person, the individual, the believer he or she must come broken. It is at this point, this crucial moment in the life of the believer, when he or she is continuing to walk faithful despite the storm, despite Hashatan coming on you. This is the perfect moment for our Father and our King to show his power. That everyone will know, that even the demons of hell will know that he is Yahuwah. Do you understand? I wish all of you love, joy, and peace despite your trials and tribulations. And I wish all of you to continue to grow in our Father and our King. And for all my leaders of the kingdom out there, continue to preach the word. Continue to stand strong. Continue to endure. Do you understand? Bring forth the agenda of the kingdom, not your own agenda. Bring forth the word of our King and his Father, not your own words. I love all of you, and may you stand. In the name of Yahushua and his Father Yahuwah.